It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer, and today we have a bottle of Sainsbury's Taste the Difference Winter Porter to show you. 500ml bottle, 5% ABV. Ooh, look now, the origin is from Blandford Forum in Dorset, so this is obviously being produced by Badger Brewery, or Hall and Woodhouse is the actual company name for them, but Badger Ales is what everybody knows them for. It's a winter porter. The taste is dark fruit and winter spices. 500ml bottle, 5% ABV. There's the bottle cap. It probably cost me in the region of £2 a bottle for this beer. I bought it a week or two ago. Let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. It's a dark brown bottle. Beer in the glass. Oh. Now then. The regional breweries know how to brew a beer style. That is porter and stout. I firmly believe, and I often do this, if I want to buy and drink a beer from, say, Badger, I'll try and find a stout from them, or Black Sheep. Here's a milk stout from them. Brains and Shepherd Neame and Green King. There's one beer style that they constantly get right. It's stout and porter. It's in their DNA. Jet black beer in the glass. Good levels of carbonation. The spices coming from this beer, the winter spices, are just poof, pummeling my nostrils. Whoa, like all sorts going on here. Like, smells a bit like a curry. Coriander and like cumins and ginger and all sorts of stuff going on. It smells like pine needle. Oh, like a fruit cake in a glass, like your grandma's, where she's been tipping a bit too much sherry in a fruit cake, and you can just smell it as you go near it. A bit Bovril like and gravy like, but that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing when it comes to a stout. It's all about the taste. Slightly lemony in its own right. Oranges and spices and Christmas, really. Christmas time, isn't it? Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. That's all right, that. That's all right. It's not getting away from the fact that it's doing what it wants to do. It's telling you on the bottle that it's full-bodied with dark fruit and winter spices. It's telling you that on the bottle, and it's absolutely delivering. It's delivering on that front. If I was in a Badger pub at Christmas time and they had their own variation of this beer, I'd be all over that. There's a wonderful pub in Salisbury in Wiltshire called the New Inn. Beautiful, old, wonderful, lovely old pub. And pardon me. I can imagine just sitting there on a winter's day with a fire roaring, drinking a Badger version. It's by Badger. It's by Hull and Woodhouse. They brew this. Yeah, interesting to be able to sit there and enjoy that with a fire roaring by, reading a newspaper, watching the afternoon go by. It's quite carbonated. It's a little bit thin, but generally porter is kind of thinner than stout anyway, in terms of, if you go through the beer style, the history books of this beer, porter is generally a bit thinner than stout anyway. Unless, of course, it's imperial porter, imperial stout, then the lines really blur. But I want to talk about the market here. I want to talk about kind of where this beer fits in. I want to talk about, like, how disappointing. If you think of Sainsbury's and Marks and Spencer's, I think Sainsbury's is the larger version of Marks and Spencer's, isn't it? It's still thought of as a quality supermarket, but it doesn't quite have the quality of Marks and Spencer's. That's my thought of Sainsbury's on a personal level. Some of you out there might think that Sainsbury's is actually a better supermarket than Marks and Spencer's, but that's just opinion, isn't it? But I think this year, 2024, Sainsbury's have absolutely tanned Marks and Spencer's for their Christmas beers. Marks and Spencer's this year have brought out such a disappointing Christmas beer. It's awful, like orange flavoured beer that was thin and horrible and terrible beer. They normally bring out like a big bottle of like vintage ale that's like terrific. Marks and Spencer's, it's really good, but they didn't bring it out this year. They just brought out this horrible, like, I can't remember, it was like an orange sort of weird, it was just a cheap ale. It was a cheap ale that I described that you could probably pick up in home bargains for £1. And Marks and Spencer's were trying to flog theirs for £2.50. Anyway, come to Sainsbury's, they've already brought out their 750 millilitre bottle, cork and caged, whatever their vintage ale's called, their Christmas beer. That's pretty terrific for the price. I think it's £4 a bottle. It's called Celebration Ale, Sainsbury's Celebration Ale, and they've got another one as well. They've got like an orange sort of another style of porter, stout. Now they have this winter porter. So they've absolutely, Sainsbury's this year, they've absolutely tanned Marks and Spencer's. I would say the only other mainstream supermarket to compete, well, there's two actually, to compete with Sainsbury's this Christmas time is Waitrose, because they have the Fuller's Vintage Ale, and probably the Adnams, the Camden Imperial Lager. They probably have that in too, which reminds me I need to go and buy a bottle of that. And of course Aldi with their 750 millilitre bottles of triple Carmelet for £5, which is incredible value for money, which you can also buy in Sainsbury's. So this Christmas, basically, if you want to buy a really decent beer for Christmas, look no further than Sainsbury's. I like that. It's probably a beer that you really have to think about. You really have to think about, and you really have to like process in your brain, because there's a lot of spices, there's a lot of gingers and coriander. It's like a combination of a weird curry and a weird curry Christmas pudding type spicy Christmas thing in a glass. But that's what we want at Christmas, isn't it? We want these kind of like interesting, intriguing, unusual things. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.